Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're ripping through a stack of sources detailing something pretty incredible. It's this idea of turning a passion, poker in this case, into basically a global passport to adventure.
Yeah, it's more than just playing cards, isn't it? It's about making the entire world your office, your playground.
Totally. Imagine stepping off a plane in Vegas, the buzz of the WSOP, and then maybe next month you're in Barcelona playing near the beach.
Exactly, that transition. That's the core of it, the challenge and the reward. So our mission today is really to extract the essential knowledge from these sources. We want to give you a clear roadmap.
Or roadmap for combining the game, the travel, the culture.
And the thrill, yeah. How to actually do it. Not just where to go, but how to sustain it, how to stay sharp.
Okay, so we've got a great plan. We're hitting specific destinations, those places that really nail the culture and cards mix. Then we'll get into essential travel tips, the big tournament circuits you need to know, and crucially, how you actually maintain this kind of lifestyle.
Right? The wellness, the mental side, it's demanding.
It really is. Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with the destinations. The fun part, maybe.
Well, yeah, the glamour spots.
The sources are pretty clear, right? If you're doing this, the place itself has to offer more than just a poker room. It needs culture, adventure.
Definitely. And you see a big contrast right away if we look at North America. Las Vegas, I mean, it's still the epicenter, isn't it?
Undeniably, the spectacle.
Yeah, world-class rooms, huge guarantees, the whole luxury setup. But what the sources stresses, the off-table stuff is key there.
Like taking a break, seeing the Grand Canyon or a show.
Exactly. For decompression.
Yeah.
It stops you burning out in that intense environment.
Okay. But then you hop over to the East Coast, Atlantic City. Feels different.
Completely different vibe. It's often highlighted as more accessible, maybe better for shorter trips.
Right. Less sprawling, maybe.
Yeah, and you trade that Vegas spectacle for, like, boardwalk charm, great local seafood. It serves a different purpose on the itinerary.
Makes sense. Okay, but Europe. This is where it gets really interesting, I think. The way the game is woven into daily life seems different.
Oh, absolutely. And Barcelona is a prime example in the sources. It's described as this, like, perfect blend.
How so?
Well, you play poker, obviously. But your mornings might be wandering the Gothic Quarter, afternoons on the beach, evenings in these lively rooms.
And you're soaking in the culture, Gaudi, tapas, flamenco.
Right. And that cultural immersion, that downtime, it's presented as a strategic asset. Helps you reset mentally.
Okay, I get that. Genuine relaxation fuels performance. But then Monte Carlo, Monaco, that's the other end of the spectrum.
Total opposite, almost pure prestige, luxury yachts, high-end shops, that Mediterranean glamour.
So what's the trade-off? Is it worth the presumably higher cost and maybe logistical hassle?
That's a great question. The sources suggest the fields might be smaller sometimes, but the prestige, playing an EPT Grand Final there.
It's a bucket list thing.
Exactly. The competition is likely tougher, more exclusive maybe. Yeah. You're definitely trading easy logistics for that elevated atmosphere. The cachet is huge for some players.
Interesting. Now, contrasting with that coastal glamour, we have Rozvadov in the Czech Republic. Described as Europe's poker secret. Why is that?
It boils down to value and volume, really. King's Casino there hosts some massive European events. Huge guarantees, sometimes bigger than the buy-ins would suggest.
So it's about player value.
Pretty much. It's remote, yeah. Draws huge crowds to this purpose-built casino complex. But the surrounding area is the opposite of Monaco, relaxing, countryside, castles, trails.
You sacrifice city buzz for poker value and quiet downtime.
That's the trade-off, yeah. A necessary contrast for many players on the circuit.
And then Dublin, Ireland. Feels like the ultimate cultural immersion stop.
Totally. Friendly locals, the pub scene, mixing poker with sightseeing and live music. The Irish poker tour stuff sounds like it's all about atmosphere, culture, really supporting the game.
Okay, shifting continents now. What about East and South?
Well, Macau, China, comes up constantly. It's the Las Vegas of Asia.
High energy.
Massive energy. A real fusion, East meets West. Modern skyscrapers next to traditional temples. And the sources highlight the high-stakes action, plus this unique cultural backdrop like Portuguese-influenced food alongside Cantonese classics. It's intense, fast-paced.
And if you want to dial back that intensity, maybe some tropical vibes.
Then you head to the Bahamas, Paradise Island specifically, poker with a serious vacation twist.
Right. But does the resort setting mean you lose that local culture immersion the sources seem to value elsewhere?
It's a different kind of experience, I think. It's less about deep cultural diving and more about convenience and, well, tropical relaxation.
Finish a tough session, walk onto a white sandy beach.
Pretty much. It's positioned as the antidote to the pressure cooker of Macau or Vegas. Major events happen there, but in that luxury resort context. Ease of travel, sun, sand. That's the draw.
Okay, that covers the where and why brilliantly. So now, let's pivot to the how. The actual strategy guide for making this journey work. Because, let's face it, traveling the world playing poker sounds glamorous, but it must be incredibly demanding.
Oh, absolutely. The practicalities are key. This is where ambition meets reality. And the number one tip we pulled from the sources, planning.
Yep.
Aligning your trips with major events.
So not just booking a random flight.
No way. You're tracking the tournament calendar meticulously. If, say, the APT is in Barcelona in August, your whole summer itinerary might hinge on that. You have to factor in travel time, jet lag, everything.
And staying curious culturally, right? Exploring beyond the casino.
Crucial. The sources really emphasize that. Exploring local food, landmarks.
Yeah.
It enriches the journey, prevents it becoming just a grind. And smart packing. Seems basic,
But essential for long trips and long sessions.
Totally. Comfortable clothes, yes, but also reliable gear. Managing documents across borders. Reducing friction is key.
Okay, so you've planned your trip around an event. Let's talk about those key tournament circuits, the ones that are really worth planning around.
Right, the big names. The World Poker Tour, the WPT stops Vegas, Barcelona, Macau you mentioned. They often feel like these big, polished resort experiences.
Mixing locals and pros.
Yeah, often with significant media focus. A very professional atmosphere.
And the European Poker Tour, the EPT. Especially the grand final in Monte Carlo. That has a different feel.
Definitely. The EBT often feels a bit more historic, maybe attracts a slightly older, more established pro community sometimes, focused on deep strategy, legacy titles.
And the World Series of Poker isn't just Vegas anymore, is it?
No, the WSOP side events pop up globally now. Dublin, Paradise Island.
Okay.
They're fantastic for experiencing that diverse international player pool, a real mix of cultures and playing styles, maybe on a slightly smaller scale than the Vegas main events.
And you mentioned the Irish Poker Tour earlier, more about the atmosphere?
Yeah, exactly. Pub vibes, camaraderie, different priorities.
Okay, so we've covered destinations and the big events. What about the less glamorous side, the real challenges of being on the road constantly, beyond just packing?
What's the sheer complexity of being mobile? The sources talk about managing banking across different countries, dealing with customs, especially if you're carrying significant cash or equipment.
And the mental drain, right? Time zones.
Huge drain. Constant adjustment. That's why the smart packing isn't just clothes. It's having your systems down pat. Reliable chargers, adapters, document backups, anything to reduce stress at borders or airports.
Because travel stress directly hurts your game.
Absolutely.
Which leads us perfectly into the next big theme from the sources. This isn't just about playing cards. It's about sustaining yourself, the integrated lifestyle, wellness, and networking.
Exactly. And the wellness part isn't optional. It's strategic. It's about maintaining mental sharpness above all else.
So what does that actually involve on the road?
It's pretty rigorous.
Yeah.
Maintaining a strict sleep routine, even when your body clock is protesting. Hydration is massive. Finding time for some light exercise, even just walking the city or hitting a hotel gym.
And eating well, I imagine, not just casino food court stuff.
Ideally, yeah. Eating properly fuels your brain. These are defenses against those marathon 12, 14-hour sessions. Decision fatigue is the real enemy here.
The sources mention mindfulness or meditation, too. Staying centered.
Absolutely critical. Helps you manage the inevitable swings, the bad beats, the noise, the late nights, all those things trying to break your focus. The mental discipline required is, frankly, intense. Maybe more so than a typical 9 to 5 because the stakes are so immediate.
There's also a social element mentioned, which sounds a bit paradoxical. You're surrounded by people, yet potentially isolated.
Yeah, the loneliness of the road is a real thing discussed in the material. You're often solo, or maybe with one or two others, far from your support network.
So networking becomes more than just business.
Much more. It's psychological support. Sharing travel tips, war stories, forming friendships with other players who get it. That becomes your community.
Building a global support system.
Exactly. It's about camaraderie and emotional resilience, not just contacts.
Okay, so for someone listening, maybe intrigued by this, but, just starting out, any advice from the sources on where beginners should aim first?
Yeah, definitely. For accessibility and maybe a friendlier environment, the sources point towards Las Vegas, Barcelona, and Atlantic City.
Why those?
They generally offer a wider range of stakes, including lower ones. The environments are vibrant, but maybe less intimidating than, say, a Macau high roller room. Plus, there's lots to do off-table, and you can find supportive player communities.
And timing. Is there a best time to go?
It depends where. The sources suggest aligning with the seasons for maximum enjoyment. Spring and summer are generally great for Europe and North America. Think Barcelona sunshine or the big Vegas summer
They went
series.
for
Winter often works well for Asia or the Bahamas. Better weather in the tropics, and major circuits often run events there during that period. Okay, so pulling this all together, from the value hunt in Rosvadov to needing that sleep routine in Macau, the big takeaway seems to be this. Yeah, the global poker lifestyle is an amazing passport to discovery, culture, unforgettable moments, but
But it demands serious strategy, discipline, and preparation that goes way beyond just knowing how to play poker. It's less about just chasing wins.
and more about embracing the whole demanding, adventurous package required to sustain it.
Yeah, exactly.
This raises a really interesting final thought, something the sources touch on implicitly. With all this emphasis on health, wellness, and actively seeking out new cultures,
Yeah.
how much does that cultural immersion actually contribute to staying sharp at the table?
You mean, is it making you a better, clearer thinker? Or is it just a necessary distraction to reset fatigue?
Precisely. Does exploring Gaudi's architecture fundamentally help you make better decisions during a long session later that night? Or does it just provide a pleasant break? How does new cultural stimulus actually impact cognitive performance in that specific high-pressure context? Something to chew on.
That is a fascinating question, a great thought to leave our listeners with. So we encourage you, think about your next trip, whether it involves poker or not. How can you really immerse yourself, transform that single activity, whatever it is, into a much broader, maybe even life-changing experience? That seems to be the real prize here.